welcome back to the Kyber Collective. I'm one of your three hosts, Sig, and I'm joined by Annie.
Hello there.
And Flowers.
General Kenobi.
And today we are tackling the two new Kenobi episodes that just dropped. We're going to do a reaction to the two episodes 1 and 2 that were dropped. It is Friday, the same day that they have dropped. Mm-hmm. We have all watched them at some point in the day. We've had various amounts of time to process.
Yeah, I definitely needed some time.
Yeah.
I was very tired because I literally was not even out of bed by the time these episodes were on because, like, priorities. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, because I have had the full day because it's I'm in the UK, so I have the advantage of an extended time period to have thought profoundly and deeply about these episodes. And mostly my thoughts are just, oh my God, it was so good.
It was. It was. Is it? So good. It's weird. I'm so. I mean, it's not. I'm so surprised.
Yeah. You know, remember we talked about this. We were like, we're going to go into this with no expectations and just be okay with whatever we get. It's fine. And we love this era. We love these characters. So I went into this with like nothing on my plate, and I received so much. It was like a buffet.
Oh my God.
It was.
Yeah. Similarly, I was like, I didn't even want to spend too much time speculating because then I feel like I get specific things that I want to see. And I was like, I'm just gonna, and I tried not to read anything this week about like the final details that were being dropped. Like I just wanted to not know and come in, and it exceeded those expectations for me. Like,
yeah, I completely agree. I didn't even want to watch trailers. And what I did notice was that pretty much everything from the trailer that we did see is in these first two episodes, which is perfect. Like, if this would have been Doctor Strange, we would have seen Leia, we would have seen, like, everything, basically. We would know the whole plot of the whole thing. We don't really know much, you know?
No.
I was super relieved when I was watching the first two, because I was like, okay, so all the little tidbits we saw really was from the the trailer was just this, and we have so much more to go.
Yeah.
And they were very cleverly avoided Leia completely, despite her being like a central focal point in the plot. And I was just so pleased.
I think we all assumed that it would be more about Luke.
Yep.
But it's more about Leia.
The old bait and switch.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't say I'm too upset about it either, because we haven't gotten to see Leia really. I mean, I guess we haven't seen Luke either in this capacity, but I'd like to see more of Leia, and we're getting more of Leia.
Well, the one thing we never saw was Leia with her parents. I mean, because they die off screen.
It was amazing.
So, yeah, her home life. And finally, Brea is like a real person who is allowed to have lines. I mean...
Oh, my God. Yeah. I was so excited. I saw, like, the two of them and interacting, and it was just beautiful. And getting to see Alderaan. I love whenever we get to see a little bit of Alderaan, because it's because it's gone, you know? So I love seeing whatever bits we can get of it. It was so wonderful.
Yeah.
It was great to see Jimmy Smith again. You could tell he really loves being a part of it. And it was great seeing him and Leia interact, you know, the father-daughter relationship. It's going to be tougher to watch A New Hope now.
I've always enjoyed Bale, but I thought his performance was just absolutely like pitched perfectly. I mean, the kind of like that specific like dad-daughter camaraderie with the mom, like, please stop enabling this. I'm the one who has to like make sure she gets into bed, and the whole like pinky swear thing, and the talk that he gives her about how she's loved and she belongs in that family. I mean, I just thought everything about his performance was just wonderful. And I
agree. And that kind of ties into how I love the writing of the show so far. This was written so well, and the character portrayals I couldn't ask for anything better at all.
Yeah, I agree.
And little Leia too. She's so like wonderful.
She's so great.
I love that how they're sort of like going in this direction of how she uses the Force.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She just knows people.
Yeah, she can read them for filth. Like she can see right through their soul, and that's how she uses the Force. Yeah. I love that.
It's so good, and it's so creepy. Like they even lampshade it with Obi-Wan's like, you don't really talk like a 10-year-old. Like it is a little bit unnerving, but also like the tiny actress has such charisma when she delivers these, like, she savages people, and then but she's so like she's so good at it. You're like, that's amazing, I love you, thank you, tell me more. I want her to like read all of my faults to me.
Yeah, she's like a little fortune teller, like, tell me, what am I?
I'm like, what else is wrong with me, come on.
She's done such a great job already. I'm so fond of her already. And I think I saw this really cute and kind little post that was like, Carrie Fisher would have been super proud of this. And proud of her. I wish
she would have been able to see her.
Right. Shall we kind of go through, why don't we start by going through like our favorite moments that we've seen, and then we'll whiz through some of the characters, because we've already started on some of it, but we'll try and apply a little bit of structure. So
how do you pick a favorite moment?
Well, I'm kind of despairing over here. Like, I don't even.
Technically, the thing that I have written in front of me says best moments, plural. So you can pick a couple.
Ooh. Okay. Right off the bat, just from thinking about this Obi-Wan man, I love seeing just how exhausted he was. Like, just like, just through an undercurrent of the show, this is something that I had canoned for so long, and the fact that we saw him tired as hell and then being extra tired once he's got Leia to take care of and try to help her, and he's just like, my God, stop.
Well, everyone keeps telling him he's old and smelly.
I know, I felt so bad for him. I was like, leave him alone. He has been through some stuff.
Yeah. I also, that joke you cracked, Annie, when we did like a recording of our like reactions to the Kenobi trailer ages ago about how he's going to work and he hates it, was running through my mind in every single time that sequence came back of him like chopping the desert whale meat. I was like, he hates it.
He does. He only works there so that he could like chop a little bit of meat for his camel.
Yeah.
Every day. Every day. Like every day is exactly the same. You know?
Okay. So was that meat, like, was he allowed to do that, or has he been just confiscating a little bit of meat for himself and nobody notices?
I feel like he was confiscating. I feel
I think so. I mean, I think in the real world they would have clearly noticed, because he's like cutting a very specific little corner off of the whale brick each time. But I think he was meant to be sneaking it out. Or maybe he's got connections.
Oh my gosh.
I'm more confused about what exactly it was in the desert that they were cutting up. Like, I didn't know whether it was supposed to be like a crate dragon or something, but
it looked like premium cuts. I'll tell you that. Like, that's some
it was
high grade sashimi there.
Truly a brick. Right. So Obi-Wan being old. Any other favorite moments?
The flashback, the flashback was good. I think his dream really felt so powerful. It's like a symbolism in itself, the fact that he's having dreams and nightmares at all. Because I think they've said it in canon or not canon anymore, maybe Legends, that the Jedi don't dream, and or like dreams will pass in time, but this has been not passing, and it's very specific what he's dreaming about. And the first thing he says after it is Master, which is trying to see if he can communicate with Qui-Gon, which, by the way, I knew it, and they tried to say it wasn't going to happen, and I think it's going to happen. I think they've pretty much shown that it's definitely coming, so I love that.
Yeah.
We're living in a post-Andrew Garfield world where no one is going to believe actors anymore.
No. I'm fine with it. I like being proven right.
I don't care what they say to me. I don't care what they say a lot of the time. I mean, it's interesting, but I'm not like, living and dying by it, because I think the show speaks for itself. So if they want to lie to me, that's cool, as long as I get Qui-Gon in this show.
Yeah, no, Liam Neeson is such a liar. Yeah. Like, I watched that interview where he was like, I would like to do movies. Where he basically implied he didn't want to do TV or streaming. Mm-hmm. And I saw that man on an episode of Atlanta a couple weeks ago. I'm like, Liam Neeson, liar. I love him. Don't get me wrong. I love that man, but
confirmed liar.
Confirmed liar. Yeah. I love it though, because like the same way Andrew Garfield very dedicatedly was just like, no, I don't know where you're hearing this. I wish I was in it. I wish. Like, he just, so this is the same thing. Like, if Liam Neeson's been lying, which I'm pretty sure we all know he has been, that's great. Like, the dedication I'm here for.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'd rather that than, I guess, leaks or such.
Yes.
Like, I like that they just stick with the story. Like, nope, I don't know where you heard that.
Yeah, I don't mind. It's their job. If it's not supposed to be out, it's not supposed to be out. Like, I don't blame them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about you, Sig? Tell me some of your favorite moments.
So definitely the reveal that Anakin's alive in the form of Vader.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And then the cut immediately to him after Obi-Wan says his name, and the end of episode 2. I probably should have said at the top, there's spoilers. I hope that's implied in a reaction episode.
Yeah. Everywhere.
Yeah. But yeah, that ending was awesome. And everything with Leia, it's hard to pick a best moment, but I'm going to also say the the Bail and Leia talk about her place in the family I just thought it was wonderful.
So wonderful to see and hear. Oh, it's that the Leia moments with Bail, even with Brea, I'm just very happy that we got them, and they were so well done.
They were. Also, Owen protecting his family, like protecting Luke and his family in the face of Reva was incredible.
Yeah,
that was remarkable.
Yeah.
And so something about that I've been seeing people kind of nitpick was like, why did the third sister not look into his mind? Like, she just kind of picks and chooses, and I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me. But also, like,
I think it makes total sense to me in if she believed him. Like, if she believed that he didn't know anything about the Jedi, then she was just attempting to kill him in order to get someone else to come forward.
Yeah.
And rather than searching everyone's mind in the vicinity, she was hoping to identify the correct person whose mind to search, I guess.
Totally. Yeah. And like, I think he was probably convincingly honest for her to not.
Yeah.
And also, like, something that Anakin said, I think it was Anakin said in Attack of the Clones to Padme, and like, it only works on weak-minded people.
Yeah.
So I feel like because he had such resolve in what he was saying, like, I don't think it was something. I don't think it was enough for her to even consider it. You know, like, Uncle Owen's got a good mind.
Maybe she didn't want to do it in front of the other brother.
That too.
Oh, that's also true. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was already not happy with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Annie? What would you say the best moments were?
I really loved the toy plane. That was kind of straight out of the comic.
It was.
I'm glad that they weren't backtracking on that or like completely destroying the comic.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you know, it's the plane from A New Hope.
Yeah.
Luke gets it somehow. I don't know how, but he's going to get it somehow. So that's cool. I really loved when Leia asks Obi-Wan what his name is, and he says Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I love that they have, like, met before. Like, I didn't know, you know. Like, I always wondered if they had ever met before. So it makes her naming her son Ben, like, just that much more impactful to me.
Yeah.
And also that much more sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's just so much that I loved. I love seeing Tamora. She just showed up when they were going through Obi-Wan, like how repetitive his life is every single day, basically does the same thing. It reminded me of one of the parts about The Force Awakens that I actually really liked was Rey, her existence in the desert. Like same thing every day. I really love that sort of parallel. Even if they didn't really mean to have it be one, I still really liked it. I thought it was beautiful. Like the special effects were great.
Yeah, definitely.
How they designed Anchorhead and Tatooine. It was good to go to Anchorhead instead of like Mos Eisley or Mos Espa, you know?
Yeah. Show us a little bit of different stuff in Tatooine.
I know it's been a major criticism that we have been on Tatooine like nonstop. So it was good to go to Anchorhead instead. I suppose that is the compromise, I suppose, we got.
I'm not really bothered by it though when we've got so much else like going on. Like all of them felt like real, distinct, living, breathing places. Like, yeah, I'm not too fussed about yet another. I mean, it was unavoidable that it was going to be yet another Tatooine thing, but like you said, because it's a different place and because it's a place that's sufficiently well designed to feel like a genuine, living, breathing desert city, then I'm willing to accept it. Yeah.
The other thing is, they showed us 3 planets in these episodes, and you got to see them move around and jump to different places. Like when you're talking to Leia on Alderaan, and it kind of made it feel more. I don't know. Like I didn't even think about the Tatooine thing because there's just so much story going on that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I was also going to say that I really loved when Obi-Wan told Leia that there was someone that she reminded him of.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
because I really did feel Padme's presence in these 2 episodes. Like she should have been there.
Yeah.
Bail and Brea are obviously great parents, but you know, another couple is raising her child or her children, and it's just very sad because Leia is so much like her.
I really appreciated and loved the inclusion of Padme in the narrative as like it's like her presence is there with her not being physically there.
Yeah.
She's finally, because I never really got the sense that canon really acknowledged her again, at least visually, after Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, it's definitely nice.
Yeah.
And Leia even used doubles.
Yeah. So getting that acknowledgement and even in the things that Bail has, spoke with and Obi-Wan, and it felt so right that Padme was mentioned and remembered and acknowledged, and you can really see her come through with little Leia, and I love it so much.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, when Bail said "do it for her," you think he was talking about Padme.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's one of many incredible moments that we got.
Right. So do we want to talk a little bit? I mean, we have touched on many of these things. Do we want to gather together kind of our thoughts about Bail, Brea, and Leia, the Alderaan trio?
Yes. It's interesting the life that they showed. We all kind of had an idea that she would have kind of a privileged little upbringing. She would be working towards the Senate as a career goal. That's something it doesn't seem like she's super keen on right now. She has a little bit of a scrappy side to her where she's trying to she wants to do what she wants to do, and her parents are just like, oh, there's Leia again. She's not here and she's doing her own thing. And are we surprised that she's so headstrong considering who her parents are?
Yeah.
I loved seeing their family dynamic. I loved seeing the little assertion of politics with the Empire and still with a Senate existing. That one conversation that happened at Bail's house with that little party where he was like, we need to do this treaty or we need to do this and slave labor. And that guy was like, we're here to eat your food, man. And I was like, oh yeah.
I like that he's both raising Padme's daughter, but also maintaining Padme's values, which I mean, were also his values, but it's like like when we talk about her being present in the narrative, like she's the reason that convinces Obi-Wan to go. Her political values and her beliefs are being lived on in the Resistance and in Bail, and her children are being raised by people who clearly love them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very true. There is definitely a stark contrast in the privilege of how Leia was raised and then how Luke was raised. And to me, like, I think it's fine because it's obvious that Owen and Beru were such great parents.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing that struck me so much was that how safe Alderaan is, because like the way Bail and Breha handle Leia, like constantly running out and climbing trees in the woods and stuff, is they're just like, oh, she's gone again. Oh, we'll check the root cellars. We'll check this. We'll check that. But like, there's no real concern about her having disappeared. Whereas like,
that is very true.
Yeah. And I like that both Leia and Luke have the same tendency as like the second someone turns their back, they're climbing on something. But
but they do not listen.
No,
they do not listen
at all. But also, like I don't know. I guess in contrast, like the second that Luke goes missing, Owen is frantically trying to find him, which kind of, I guess, also undercuts the difference in their environments.
It does, and like Owen's very persistent and present concern of Luke's safety and trying to keep him safe and raising him in a kind of a harsh environment. And it was really nice to see that contrast of what they're experiencing. But the universal feeling was just like, my kid is not to be told what to do.
Yeah, no.
And it was great to see.
I will say I was surprised to see Flea show up in this. I didn't have that on the bingo card.
Did not expect that.
Flea? I'm so mad at him from Back to the Future. Also, if I am going to nitpick something, it's that when Leia was running away from them, I was like, those are the worst kidnappers of all. Like running after this. Like she was just like running away from them for a while and like getting away from them in ways that I just thought was like, okay.
Yeah, I saw some criticism on that, and that it felt a little Disney-fied in the way that sequence played out.
And I mean, that's fine, you know.
It's fine.
It's not a big deal.
My thing with that scene was like, if that was me, I would have like turned around because like she still had to go past them to go into the woods. I would have just like, all right, buddy, I'm just going to go back to my house, maybe.
I mean, she strikes me though as like, she's super savvy in a lot of ways. Like when Obi-Wan turns up, she's like, hang on, why would they send you? Where's the army? What are your credentials? Tell me, like, prove yourself to me. She asks him 6 billion questions, and they're all really astute questions. But like, she cannot run. Like, this kid is a nerd. This kid, like,
I know,
just doesn't know how to like properly run. Like,
no,
I didn't mind the way that they had her like constantly ducking into small spaces and stuff so that she could get away from them. But
she is small.
She's small.
She uses her height to her advantage.
She does, but she's got short little legs. Like they could have got her.
I know. I love that how astute she was. She was like, you're probably the guy who hired these kidnappers. Get away from me. I'm going to like just make really bad decisions now because I think you're the one who's after me. Like she has a healthy dose of suspicion.
Yeah, she's smart. She's real smart.
Yeah, she's real smart.
Yeah.
And I love that by the time A New Hope comes around and she's kidnapped by, Darth Vader, she's probably like, you're not scaring me. Like I've been kidnapped before.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about this. So you know how she like reads people for filth, right? And she was stuck in that room with Vader during their interrogation. I bet. How much do you want to bet that she dragged his ass that entire time? And he comes out of it to Tarkin saying she's particularly strong.
Oh, I hope so.
I want that scene. I want that scene played out somewhere.
Yeah, I did like the touch about politeness to droids. as a kind of benchmark for whether or not you're a half decent person, which I think has always been kind of true in Star Wars. But like, the bit with her cousin and him being like, why would you bother talking to lesser life forms? And you're like, dude, what? But also the fact that like she's clearly like really obsessed with this droid Lola, and Obi-Wan like can't help himself, but like when she's so sad about the droid, he's like, right, old habits die hard. I've clearly got to comfort you. I've spent hours and hours of my life comforting small children about their sad, broken droids. But he's still slightly bad at it too, which is the other really good bit.
I know, he's like, he tries, but it doesn't necessarily work. And it's like, oh, so this is what his upbringing was like.
It's so relatable for me. I also like tried it whenever I try to comfort people. I'm very bad at it. So I'm just like, I'm with you, Obi-Wan.
At least there was, there's attempts made.
It's very endearing. Like, he's fine. Let's talk about the Inquisitors, because we haven't really brought them up yet. So the Grand Inquisitor, who's now Shish Kebab, the other Inquisitors, and the third sister, Reva. What do we think?
What is going on with that, by the way? Like, there's no way he's dead, right?
Yeah, he can't be dead. Otherwise, they've uncanonized rebels.
So then he's going to be mad.
Yes.
He's not going to be happy when...
So, my question was like, okay, at first I was like, wait, so if he died, was there another Palin who was the Grand Inquisitor, like, later?
I just don't see how they could do that, because he was the Jedi Temple, like, security guard or whatever.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense. So he clearly will survive, because they're not going to undo rebels.
I mean, we do have a precedent for clones. But my first thought was that the first shot of the next episode is going to be him in his bacta tank next to Vader, and the two of them can be bacta buddies.
I hope that's what happens. I actually kind of liked him. I actually liked Rupert Friend's version.
Yes.
Yeah, he was getting a lot of flack for like not looking exactly like the cartoon. And I know that he didn't watch Rebels, which I'm like, whatever, dude, don't say that in an interview. But he did a good. I really did like him. I enjoyed him.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. He did a really good performance. I am side-eyeing that he was like, I didn't watch it. You shouldn't announce that sort of thing, man. Not to this fandom.
Yeah.
No, just fandom. Just be quiet, dude.
I enjoyed his authority, and I think that it kind of matched the vibe that the Inquisitor has in season 1 of Rebels, in that like he's so sedate that it becomes creepy. Like he's just he brushes into this bar and he's like, do you know what I do? I kill Jedi. Do you know how I do it? I meet people like you and I hear rumors. And they're like, this guy like murders people for breakfast, but like he's just like he was creepy. It was really good.
That's the guy that keeps a Jedi corpse on his ship to lure in other Jedi.
Yeah,
you know?
I believe it.
Yeah. You really get that sense. He's all very mild, like, this is a really nice saloon you have here.
Yeah.
Perfect place to hide a Jedi.
What a nice bar. Shame if someone did a murder in it.
Yeah, and I can see where that would be a lot more effective than, say, Reva's impulsivity.
Very impulsive, short-tempered, and has something she wants to prove to herself, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes me think, actually. So the children from the very beginning, and of course we have to see Order 66 again.
Yes.
Who are those children?
Yes.
So
is one of them Reva?
That's my working theory at the moment. I do have to say, if I have one major nitpick about this, it's that we did get another Order 66 flashback, because I feel like that's overdone. But I also feel like this probably was the most appropriate series to have an Order 66 flashback in some ways. So I'm like, maybe I would have taken one of the other ones out, but
I think it would be fine if those children, each one of them, we find out what happened to all of them in this series, so that
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I think we are going to. I mean, maybe we won't. I'll be disappointed if it doesn't actually directly tie into anything. But I think considering all of the backstory stuff that they're setting up for Reva, I think she might be one of them.
Yeah. I know a lot of people have a lot of opinions on Reva already. They're frustrated with her because, of course, she's the foil to the ongoing plot. But I when I get annoyed by a character on screen, I think that's a good thing in this kind of instance, because I'm like, oh, she's doing her job. She is doing great at convincing me that she is a frustrating character who is after our main character. And I think she brought a lot of cool depth to these first two episodes. You can tell there's something else brewing there. You can tell she has a motivation that's not quite spoken. And I'm interested if she is that survivor of Order 66 and what, she does seem young enough for it to have been.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see what happens to her because I don't think she's around later. So
well, yeah, I think she might wind up getting the Trilla treatment in the end. But
she's reminding me of the TVA character from Loki that I absolutely hated.
Oh yes,
the first couple episodes, and then in a couple of episodes later, I loved her. I started to really enjoy her, which made me think this woman is an amazing actress. The TVA lady.
Yeah.
So I feel like we might be getting the same kind of treatment from Reva. Like we're meant to absolutely hate her. And then in the coming episodes, we might actually understand why it is she's so single-minded and sympathize with her.
Yeah, I think they did a really smart thing by positioning her kind of outside of the rest of the Inquisitors and then as the main villain, because like she can it would be really stupid if all the Inquisitors like constantly got really close to Kenobi and then never really caught him. And we're supposed to believe that like they did that for years and years and years, and he always like outsmarts them. It gets a bit like Coyote Roadrunner. But for her to be going off on her own and then for you to develop, like I do think that she is going to get like the TVA treatment, but also like the Trilla treatment explicitly. Like you come to sympathize with her, and then Vader kills her. So like I think she's positioned really well in the narrative to really work as a foil, but also for us to develop a certain degree of pathos and for her to act independently so that it doesn't undermine what we already have in canon. Like I think it was a very smart choice.
If she goes in any direction that Trilla did, I think this is going to pan out very well, because when you see Trilla in Jedi Fallen Order and you have to play against her for the majority of the game, it just gets so frustrating because you're like, why can't you just stop? And you're just evil. And how could I ever feel bad for you or like empathize with what happened, like why you're the way you are? And then you actually see, and you actually like kind of, she grows on you. And by the end of it, you're sad to see her go.
Well, it is sad for all the like young ones, right? Like, I mean, it's one thing if they're adults and then they sign up for this in a sense. I mean, and like all of us have a certain degree of pity for Anakin. But like, it's another thing when they were clearly kids when this happened and then have been tracked down and essentially groomed into this role. Like, there's a huge scope for pity there, I think.
Incredibly. And I think that's what they're angling here. And I kind of going back to, I don't love seeing Order 66 sequences kind of willy-nilly. They've been put in places where I don't think you really need them. But this, I think it, like you said, it feels appropriate given the show's context.
Well, yeah, I'm hoping that it links directly. Like Annie was saying, I'm hoping that we find out at least who some of those people are and how it links directly into the plot. But
I feel like somewhere in the galaxy, there's these kids, this group of kids that all know each other and survive together.
Yeah,
but maybe they're all separated now, and Reva might be one of them. I don't. Probably a couple of them have some tragic backstory. That's just speculation. I could be wrong.
It's definitely like I'm hoping that they do something along those lines or something interesting with it.
Yeah. I will say if she does end up getting the Trilla treatment, I think we need to be reminded of how far gone Anakin is right now.
Yes.
At this point in time. Like, I know that a lot of people right now are just like, oh my God, Hayden's back, which I love. I'm so happy for him. Like, I have all of the feelings for that. But Darth Vader is not a good guy right now. And I think some people do need to be reminded of how ruthless the guy
I
is.
definitely feel like we're getting it. That last shot of him in the Bacta tank and his opening the eyes, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Spooky as heck.
It was creepy.
Anakin is dead.
Yeah.
From a certain point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is Darth Vader right there in front of God in my salad.
Yeah.
Right. It was incredible. But I did like that Obi-Wan's first word about this reveal was like, just saying his name, like Anakin,
Yeah.
But yeah, he's definitely not a good guy.
No,
he's not even like a, I could possibly turn back guy, He's not there.
No. I mean, yeah. We did get a flashback to the genocide he participated in as well. So,
yeah.
There's a lot to criticize when it comes to Vader.
Yeah.
It's a long list.
Yes, very, very long.
Tangentially, what did we think of Nari, who's the Jedi on Tatooine who is hunted down and killed?
So he seemed, okay, I mean, I guess you can't really rely on people's ages and what you see visually, but like he could have also been one of the temple survivors. And I am very interested on whether he was tracking down Obi-Wan and that's how he found him, or was just by accident. I think actually he said it was by accident. He couldn't believe that he'd seen him.
Yeah.
But like, it kind of made me sad that his belief was so still there that he was like, we have to do something. And there's just nothing you can do at this point. And he paid for that belief.
Yeah, I think he was maybe going about it the wrong way, but he was a true Jedi.
He was,
and I think that it's an interesting position to put Obi-Wan in at the start. I mean, I feel like Obi-Wan's arc in this show is pretty easy to guess at this point.
Yeah.
But to have him essentially like explicitly say, do nothing, don't help, don't stand, don't jump in. And then we see him do that. I mean, it's not clear what he would have done if Owen had been, I mean, Owen was pretty close to being fried, but like, was he going to jump out or was he going to do nothing at all? And my guess would be nothing really, unless Luke specifically was in danger, which is pretty cold. But is obviously like he's had 10 years of a team of Inquisitors looking for him and nobody's heard anything about, like, it's clearly working.
It's working, yeah.
But is it morally right? I mean, I don't think that it's like coincidence or whatever that clearly it was difficult for him to access the Force, that he's been cut off from this way of life, both literally and figuratively. In terms of his use of the Force, it's probably why he's struggling to connect with Qui-Gon as well. Like, so I thought it was a really, I really liked it as a story beat that you had this little kid who was doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And to put Obi-Wan's character in that position, and then hopefully we'll see him find ways of doing things that can work over the course of the show.
It was also a good display of what happens if you do the right thing as a Jedi, or even a person, because that one woman got her hand cut off when she spoke up. So there's no compassion in the Empire, or at least the Inquisitors, and how they're dealing with things.
Not in the Inquisitors. Yeah, but the one thing I liked was the reaction of people in general. Like, because I got the sense both on Tatooine, when his body was hung up, people were really genuinely upset. And when they see him lower Leia with the Force, it seemed like, and also Haja, obviously, possibly had a complete change of heart when he realized he was dealing with an actual Jedi. Like, hope seems to be still alive in the way people respond to even the idea of a Jedi. It's kind of cool.
And isn't that interesting? Because like the attempt to stamp out Jedi and kind of tarnish their name symbolically as people who were trying to overthrow the government and therefore needed to be annihilated as a people, and something that had been celebrated when the Empire formed. And now 10 years on, what we're seeing is people reacting with hope when they think there's a Jedi presence, and reacting, like you said, horrifically at seeing a Jedi hanged.
Yeah.
It's a good narrative display of where things are at right now emotionally for, I guess, the citizens.
Mm-hmm. Do we want to talk about Owen and Obi-Wan now, the Tatooine boys?
I love Owen Lars so much. I think, oh my gosh. So we were all talking about how we're worried about, in the previous episodes we've done, about how he would be a little too mean based on the comic, and we didn't really want to see that. No, this was perfect. I thought this was done so well with the whole toy thing, and he's just like, dude, just stop. Like,
yeah, I'm glad he wasn't as much of a dick as he was in the comic.
Yeah. I mean, the memes he's given us alone.
Yeah, I'm loving the memes. I am loving the memes. Yeah. I love it.
I think, yeah, he had not even that large of a part in the first episode, but I was like, yeah, you're a good person. You protect your family.
Yeah.
You had an opportunity to sell out Obi-Wan, and even if he didn't do it for him, he still didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just a good man.
No, I love it. I mean, I think it makes much more sense to me that he's incredibly loyal to Luke than that the idea that he'd be incredibly loyal to Obi-Wan, considering what he knows about Anakin and all that kind of stuff. And I thought it was a fantastic performance, but also a fantastic writing choice in the way that they walked that line of him being unfriendly with a beloved character who is the main character for the show, but also like still an amazing character.
Yeah. And you can see just how much he loves Luke.
Yeah.
Like, that's his kid, that's his child.
Yeah.
And he's trying to protect him. Even, I mean, like, you don't want to like see it, but it had to be done. He had to be like, look, you are putting my kid in danger just by being here.
Yeah.
He had a bad rap, I think, in Fanon. Because of A New Hope, on how hard he was on Luke. And I'm like, I think that was just reflective of how scary a time it was, that he didn't want him to be not safe. And
well, yeah, and also I can think of plenty of reasons why the son of Anakin Skywalker should not join the Imperial forces.
Yeah. I mean, registering as Luke Skywalker might raise some eyebrows.
From Tatooine, yeah.
From Tatooine. It makes me wonder why he wasn't Luke Lars.
Yeah. But
because Luke was all about saying, "I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you. I'm here to shoot womp rats. Hi, I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here."
But also he talks
to get some of that. Huh?
So I was gonna say, he talks about his dad a lot too. He's like, "My dad was a great Jedi Knight." You're like, dude, pipe down.
Don't say that.
Don't say that too loud.
Yeah.
Poor Luke. Well, then that kind of tells me that their impression of Anakin perhaps wasn't so wretched. Like, maybe they don't know how it ended up for him, rather than just knowing that he died. And so maybe in his honor they kept it, but that's still not playing it safe. Like,
no,
because it's one thing to be on a backwater planet, right? But it's another when clearly people from the Empire keep visiting.
Yeah, I do want to know how much Owen knows.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Because if he thinks that Anakin just died, then how was that Obi-Wan's fault? Like, you trained his father? Like, he didn't train him well enough? Or does he know that
maybe it's Anakin like you couldn't protect your own apprentice and he's dead.
Yeah. That's unfair, though.
Yeah.
So many Jedi died.
Yeah.
It's not all...
I mean, it could also just be that it is unsafe to be a Jedi. Like, that training won't make him safer. It'll make him a target, I guess.
That's true.
Yeah, there's that line, I think, that Obi-Wan said of like, are his abilities starting to show? Because if they are, we need to start working on them.
Yeah.
That's interesting, because I don't know. Does that make Luke a late bloomer? Or because of other Force sensitives usually show early?
Well, I mean, Anakin, like, he had good reflexes. He could pod race. Like, Leia seems to be intuitive, but I guess you could just pass that off as like a gifted child.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. None of them are levitating shit.
No. They're not accidentally water bending.
Yeah, exactly.
I hoped we see Baru.
Yes.
I hope we see Baru. I also adore her, and maybe we'll get to see some one-on-one Luke moments, hopefully.
Yeah.
I'm still up for adventures with Obi-Wan and Owen, like across the galaxy, somehow in this buddy road trip to help out whatever, Leia. Who knows? I don't know, but it would be fun.
What I'm hoping is that we get to the end of this and Obi-Wan starts calling him Luke rather than the boy. Because he's clearly trying to distance himself, or he feels that he has no relationship or whatever. I mean, he calls Leia Leia once he'd seen her anyway. So I'm hoping we'll graduate from the boy to Luke by the end of the series.
I hope so. I mean, we know that he gets those toy parts, so hopefully that there's some bonding that happened there.
God, they're so good.
Yeah, about Obi-Wan, like cutting himself off and keeping emotionally distant, like I can understand that. And then like not wanting to leave, like he had to stay with the boy. Mm-hmm. Like I thought it was kind of relatable, honestly, because of like how we've all been kind of stuck inside for the past couple years, and how like you can kind of finally go out there, but do you really want to? Like it's kind of hard at first, you know. He's been stuck in this cave and in this routine for 10 years. That's his comfort zone now, and he kept saying, "I'm not the man I used to be."
Yeah,
I felt for the guy because, like, I can understand. I don't want to go out there.
Yeah. One of the nicest touches, I think, is how, like, the little things, like when he gets in that fight and he's kind of forgotten how to do it. And he like punches somebody. He's like, "Oh, that hurts!" Like he's like,
like, I know, that's such a great touch.
But that he really. I mean, he's not kidding when he says he's a different man. He's not the fighter he used to be. He doesn't have the access to the Force he used to be. He's changed permanently by the trauma of what he's lived through. Like,
he's not the same man he was before.
Yeah,
and now you've thrust him into the situation where he has to be.
Right. I don't think people should expect him to be the same. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
He just walked right into that trap, man. Bale just like, I love Bale, but I don't know what else they were supposed to do, but
yeah,
it's certainly a clever plot point of Reva knowing that this could draw out Obi-Wan,
and she doesn't actually realize how important the dots she's connected are. Which was pretty cool. So she's like, "Oh yeah, they fought together during the war. He'll care." And you're like, "You have no idea what you've just hit on." Yeah,
I know it's a lot more important than you thought.
Yeah, but I like the thing about the Jedi hunt themselves from the Inquisitors, like.
Yeah, by showing their compassion leaves a trail.
I've got to say, as a Jedi nerd, I'm really happy with this. I'm happy with, their understanding of the Jedi. I'm happy with the way that they're doing the Inquisitors. I'm happy with the way Obi-Wan is struggling with his past and his connection to the Force. And, like, this is some good shit.
And honestly, like, it's making me think of a strange thing. How smart Yoda was, actually. To go to Dagobah. So that he could still so that he could still be connected to the Force.
Yeah.
Because Dagobah had all of this dark energy, and so it was able to balance out, and people weren't able to detect him. I'm like, all right, Yoda, I guess that was smart.
Yeah.
I'm conceding that Yoda.
Mark the date, everyone.
Mark the calendar. The day that Annie did not get salty about Yoda.
I'm conceding.
It's the miracle of the Kenobi show.
Yeah.
But if you have to hear Yoda in this series say some bullshit about making mistakes and you know, how failure is good and fail again, fail better.
Oh, Annie, we have better writers on this.
Yeah,
I feel like we're not going to get that.
And if we do, Leia will call him out on it. Like,
yeah, she'll look into his little hermit face and be like, "You're full of crap."
Leia would just savage.
Don't eat your root leaf stew.
Eat your stew. Little man.
Little man. It's relatable. I watched Revenge of the Sith last night in prep for this show, and watching Yoda fight, and then his defeat is pointed with, "I must retreat in exile. I am a failure." I was like, yo, I guess that's relatable. If I couldn't defeat like the thing that was going to destroy the whole Republic, yeah, I too would just want to hide in a swamp.
That was a pretty big defeat.
It was.
I mean, yeah, it was like, oh wow, it's been years.
Yeah.
It's not just this battle.
Yeah. Right. Have we got any other kind of character-related thoughts before we move on?
I think they've done these characters a lot of justice. And I want to see how Obi-Wan's character changes from what we see him now and then what's going to happen by episode 6.
Yes.
And I think he's going to be closer to the wise and slightly whimsical Obi-Wan that was Alec Guinness.
Yeah. I think this show hit so many nostalgia buttons for me very successfully. And it's a very difficult thing to do because obviously it was tried with Luke in The Last Jedi. It was tried with Han in The Force Awakens. And like beyond the Star Wars franchise, like Star Trek has had a lot of their old actors coming back to various degrees of success and that kind of thing. And it's a very hard thing to like have both a character be changed by time, but also hit the correct notes to still feel like the same person and to not have and I think that this knocked it out of the park. Like, every character was treated with such love and such respect and like are such believable versions of themselves after the end of Revenge of the Sith. And like, I mean, the writers, I tip my hat to the actors and the directors because I was filled with nostalgia the whole way through, but it wasn't samey and it wasn't fan service and it was just great.
It was great. It was respecting the source material and then saying, how would this be going forward? And they nailed it. The nostalgia was a sense. It was like, I think it's what nostalgia should be. It shouldn't just be like little bits and bobs that are kind of thrown in there. It gives you that feeling of this is something that mattered a lot and it's completely changed due to these circumstances, and how does that play out? And it was done so well and so successfully. I really couldn't have asked for anything better. It's so rare that we get good Jedi kind of content, and getting it again just has me so emotional.
Yeah, I raise a drink to Deborah Chow over how she's treated Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Because I've been like, I was looking around the Twitters and couple of people mentioned how, so Obi-Wan's kind of like Luke in The Last Jedi, and I'm like, no.
I saw that too. It's not the same at all.
No. He for one, Obi-Wan, he was hesitant, like he's not the man he used to be. However, he actually went out and did something, as you see at the end of episode 1. Thank you for treating this character with the utmost respect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm very grateful. I'm very happy. I don't even know what other words I can use to express how great this was to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's bordering on in defense of Luke Skywalker in the Last Jedi. I mean, it helps that what Obi-Wan's reacting to is on screen rather than in flashback halfway through the film, because like the memory of everything from, like, I love that it started with this montage of the prequels. I mean, at the time I was laughing because I was like, imagine not having watched the prequels and then watching this show. But I think part of what makes it work is that it is tying directly into existing source material and piggybacking off of that rather than, trying to, I don't know, leave the source material behind, start something new, whatever. Like, I just think that it worked with what was there, fitting between the two movies very, very well, which is a really hard thing to do.
Yeah, it's incongruent with the prequels. It's just continuing off of the energy and what happens in there. It's so direct, and I'm almost not used to anyone acknowledging the prequels.
Yeah,
in
that
Star
was
Wars.
really nice to have the prequels actually acknowledged.
Yeah.
I've had this feeling in the past couple of days since the Star Wars celebration of the prequels and how they've had this renaissance and how everybody's so excited about Obi-Wan and Hayden coming back. I I've just been thinking about back to like the early 2000s, how people like absolutely hated the prequels and said such horrible things about them. I just want to be like, just don't even talk.
Yeah.
Don't even watch the show. I don't want to hear your opinion. Just don't even talk.
Correct.
Yeah.
You get to sit there and shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
their time is done.
Exactly.
It is our time now.
It's so evil.
Right. So do we want to talk about like themes before we wrap up? Major themes.
I think there's a very strong undercurrent in the show so far about hope, which we kind of knew going into the show because of the trailers talking about hope surviving. I think that they've done a really cool approach on, they're actually showing it, like they're showing the downtrodden aspect of life post like Order 66 and through the Empire, and how it can actually still be salvageable, and why the rebellion worked.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which it makes me think of the Andor trailer that we just saw and how amazing that looked.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, so good.
Revolution, man. It's starting to boil up. It's starting to simmer in this one.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other side of that too is it made me think of Anakin, the thing he says to Shmi about how she always says that the problem in the universe is that people don't help each other enough. And we have so many little moments of like the girl who's selling spice, who like gives it to Obi-Wan for free when he says he's looking for his daughter, and says she was someone's daughter too. And like Haja, like who's, I like money, I like coin, but you need help and I'm going to help you, assuming that he's being genuine. Even just little things like Obi-Wan deciding to help, but also like the little things he does for Leia, like talking to her when she's sad about her droid, or buying her the stupid gloves that she won't put down, like, and then making the toys for Luke. I think there's so many little things of like the ways people are looking out for each other, and then contrasted with the like brutal inhumanity of the Empire.
Yeah, it's the seeing little acts of service under the weight of something so difficult and under a regime, and how people still will find a way to help each other.
Yeah, and I guess the one major example of like someone not helping is when Obi-Wan doesn't help Nari, the Jedi, and he winds up dead.
Yeah.
And then I guess the other theme that jumps out for me is trauma.
Yeah, trauma's a big one.
Trauma in this.
There's a lot.
So much trauma. Yeah, and like the repetitiveness of Obi-Wan's life, and his like the sameness of every day, his intense routine, his like the way that he's quiet and afraid to go and do anything really, I don't know, I guess spoke to me about like how small the world becomes when you're really traumatized by things, and how little this little extremely boring, predictable routine becomes like a place of safety.
Also how Obi-Wan, I think his journey in this will be to let go. He hasn't been able to let go of what happened on Mustafar. He hasn't been able to let go of what happened with Order 66. I think he's coping with it, but I don't think he's dealt with it at all, as evidenced by his nightmare that he has, which seems to be a recurring nightmare. And, you know, he really does believe that he had killed Anakin, and he's unable to let go of, because you see flashbacks of, I mean, it's not just Mustafar, you're seeing flashbacks of him as a child, you're seeing flashbacks of him enjoying their life, and of them working together in Attack of the Clones and working together at the beginning of Revenge of the Sith. It's like he is experiencing such intense loss of not just like his people, but for what Anakin represented and what he meant to him. and it's come back to bite him. And I think he's going to be forced to confront all of that and be forced to process it.
Yeah, I mean, the really sappy part of me was like all of those scenes of Obi-Wan on Tatooine, he's completely alone. Like, and he's even watching Luke from a distance. Like, he just lives this completely solitary life. And then he goes out in the desert and he's buried his lightsaber with Anakin's, like the obvious missing piece from his life. And I was like, oh, I'm sad now.
Oh, it's heartbreaking. Oh my god. When I saw Anakin's lightsaber there, I was like, oh my god, you buried them together.
Yeah. I mean, he's got it because he's still got it to give it to Luke. The good old...
And you know eventually he keeps that just in his home because he hands it over to Luke in New Hope in like that little box.
Yeah. What if the series ends with him buying his first house? He moves out of the cave.
He gets himself some good real estate in the Jutland base.
I mean, he gets there somehow. I've always wondered how he ends up in that little apartment there.
Much nicer, seems to have like, you know, some light fixtures.
Yeah, maybe he gets a promotion. Yeah. He's like foreman of the sand whale dig crew.
I mean, it was a nice cave. I mean, he had like a range. Yeah. He was cooking.
Yeah.
Maybe he gets like, you know, he hits a certain age, he gets Social Security.
He stops getting robbed by the Jawas.
Oh my god, that was so funny. Yeah. He knew the Jawa's name and he was like, if you're gonna steal from me, don't make me buy it back.
It was such a good Obi-Wan line. I meant to mention this earlier. Like, the humor is so on point and so in keeping with the rest of Star Wars. Like, oh, so good.
So good. Enjoyed it thoroughly. We got a little bit of that Kenobi flair.
Yeah.
Which I was hoping to see.
Yeah, he looks... People kept telling him like he looked old and like homeless and all this. But like his accent was still just this very like posh, like
clipped Coruscant accent.
Yeah, it was funny.
It's a bit savage too, because like Leia's like grandfather maybe, and you're like, I was just like hyper aware of the fact that hasn't Ewan just had a baby? Like, that's a bit savage.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you're right. That is a bit savage. Oh, Ewan. Yeah. Oh my god. I wanted to talk about or mention Tamura's cameo as the clone trooper, the 501st clone trooper. Do we have any real answer what happened to them when they, like in canon? Like, I know they must have gotten decommissioned and they're no longer working with the Empire, but like that was it. Like nothing, they got nothing from that.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it like partly answered in Rebels with like what Wolf and Rex and the other guy have been doing? I forget his name. And I guess probably will be further answered in the Bad Batch if that continues.
It's true.
Yeah, they just kind of stopped using the clones.
But
I kept thinking to Rebels when I was watching this quite a bit.
Yeah,
it has to say canon.
Yeah,
the Grand Inquisitor. I'm just, this is just really bothering me. Does he have like some kind of Wolverine healing factor?
Yeah.
I'm just like, I was starting to enjoy you, man, for the very first time, and now they could have maybe killed you.
It's a little frustrating because this is how Qui-Gon died, and the fact that he had to die, but no one else seems to be dying of a lightsaber stabbing or getting cut in half. It's kind of annoying me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, definitely. Yeah. But, you know, I did see another criticism actually on Twitter, like when, who is it, Ben Safdie? Mm-hmm. He like runs away from the Inquisitors in that first scene or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they're like, how are the Inquisitors this incompetent?
Yes.
Like, that's so unrealistic. And I was like, but have you seen
Rebels?
Yes. Yeah. They were batting well above par. Like,
they were definitely in character.
They were definitely in character.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only Inquisitor who I felt like was not that incompetent was Trilla. And you never saw her actually anywhere else in canon but Jedi Fallen Order. But yeah, it tracks. that they definitely, I believe it.
I think either tweet us or put a comment if you're listening to this on YouTube. But like, I would like to know the stupidest theory you can think of for why the Inquisitor has survived. Because like, you know how like they do like fake outs with like they shoot the guy, but it turns out he has like a Bible in his pocket, and so he lives because of the book. Like, I'm hoping it's like that level of stupid. Or at least I want to hear theories that are that level of stupid. Like, he's got a copy of, like, Vader's biography, and it stops the lightsaber.
Yeah, that's a good one. I love that one.
He has, like, I don't know, anti-gravity matter in his stomach. Like, hidden in a pocket, and that just put the saber in a different dimension when it went through him. Like, yeah, I want to hear some crazy ideas.
Like, yeah, he's got multiple organs, like... Because, I mean, the wound would cauterize itself, so...
Yeah, that reminds me, like, if oh gosh, I can't think of her name right now. The bounty hunter in Boba Fett that like got her stomach reconstructed.
Yeah.
If somebody like ran her through with a lightsaber, what would happen to her?
Yeah.
Would she be fine?
Yeah.
These are good. Secretly a robot. Like,
maybe he's secretly a robot.
Yeah. Or like they do this a lot, I think, in Star Trek, where they're like, "Oh, he got stabbed through the heart. Oh no, but it's okay because he's a Klingon and they have two." And then he just like lives with his other heart. Like,
yeah. Let's find out what the Grand Inquisitor's got hidden under his tunic.
Yeah.
Or like he works out so much that his abs literally are made of steel. Like, I just Send me your dumb theories, please. I would like to read them.
Please do. I'd love to hear them. Don't just listen to it. Actually go and type it. I know you can. We've been saying this for weeks. Y'all need to start telling us some of your thoughts.
Yeah, or flowers will berate you.
Feel free to disagree also.
Yeah. Cool. What are we looking forward to next?
Finding out how the hell the Grand Inquisitor survives.
Yes.
Sorry.
Top of the list. I want to see... Is it cheesy to say I want to see Vader? Like, no. I think that's kind of top priority. I want to see Hayden's performance, like his first scene. Like, I want to see that. Not just in the back of the tank, like, staring... I want to see the whole thing.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
I'm really interested in Haja and like where he sent them and who's going to be there. Because I think he said something like, you have friends, you're not alone. So like, are we going to see other Jedi? Like, does he actually know Jedi?
Yeah.
His charlatan stick was so good, by the way. It was just like awesome.
Yeah.
But like,
he had to have known some actual Jedi at some point in his life.
So I'm very curious as to what's going to happen, and I would like Leia to continue bossing everyone around. Yeah, just mad props to the little girl that plays Leia, whose name I should look up and know.
Yeah,
I think she's super cool.
Yeah, she is.
And then, in the interests of balance and objectivity, we've touched on some of the things that we haven't liked. Do we want to do a roundup of nitpicks?
Nitpicks. I definitely nitpicked the chase scene with Leia. I thought that was kind of clunky, but it doesn't bother me really.
It doesn't bother me. That would be my nitpick too. It was the only thing that felt a little out of place. This really is a nitpick because it's obvious why it happens for story reasons, but I'm going to nitpick the final scene in episode 2 when Reva is like she's toying with Obi-Wan and just like pulling things out, and then the Grand Inquisitor's like, I'll pull some more stuff, and you're like, come on guys, like you have this guy cornered and he manages to get away, and if either of them had just stopped playing with their food, it would have been fine. I mean, it wouldn't have been fine. Obi-Wan would have been dead. I understand why this happened, but it actually was starting to annoy me over the course of the scene. I was like, please get a wiggle on. Come on.
Yeah, no, that could be the Jedi version of his whole, like, the Jedi are predictable and that's how they get caught. Like, that could be the Jedi version of them.
Yeah.
Like, they can't resist playing with their food.
Yeah, you can't resist toying with them and trying to be friends.
Yeah, and that's Rebels accurate. Like, they have to do the villain speech.
Yeah, they do. You have to give the villain speech and then reveal their whole plan. Yeah. And then the good guys just...
And then Obi-Wan just legs it. But
yeah.
I think that was the only bit. I mean, yeah, the chase scene was a little bit clunky.
Riva didn't even attempt to like force keep the cargo ship.
No, because she's like reading his mind the whole time. So like presumably she has a pretty good sense of where he is, or like she's reading his emotions, and like you could have just I don't know, dropped a box on him or something. But
well, that is a good solid nitpick. But if they were competent, there'd be no story. So I guess we have to counter Lucky Stars.
I think I would like to rewatch the prequels yet again, because I don't remember this from the prequels, but I did find her action sequences weird. Like she was clearly using, when she's running across the rooftop, she's clearly using the Force to move. Yeah. But she's moving in such an unnatural way. Like that's not how people do parkour or flip through the air. Like she's very clearly on a wire. So like I'm assuming it's intentional, that like it's meant to represent her like lifting herself up with the Force, but I actually found it weird it looked like a badly done stunt to me.
I didn't love those. You know what? That's a great point that you brought up. I didn't love that when she was jumping roof to roof, because it didn't feel like how that should be with the Force.
Yeah. And like I know that Obi-Wan and Anakin, like there's that scene where they fly into the hangar in Revenge of the Sith, and they do lots of unnatural type movements, but there's something not right about her weight in these ones, whereas I think when it was done in the prequels, they looked like they had more weight to them, and so it looked a little bit more real. But that's really splitting hairs at this point.
And I think that in the prequels, I would say even in the Clone Wars, you had like a lot of like really rapid ascent and then a hard descent. Yeah. So you were having your weight still factor in. I think it was not, she seemed a little too like she's on a wire. Yeah. It's too noticeable. Yeah. I totally agree. That kind of threw me off as well. And it's why I didn't really like her sequence there.
I think I had tuned out that, actually.
I'm sorry. I mean, if you don't notice, you don't, like, it's probably like a good thing if you don't notice.
Yeah. I need to go back and watch that. If there was a part that I did tune out, it was that one.
That was the correct choice.
I tend to tune out during like action scenes anyway because ADHD. I lose it.
Yeah.
Thankfully, like none of the action sequences were very long or drawn out. No. They kept it in pace.
That's something I really loved.
Yeah. Plot was very forefront of the story of the episodes.
Yeah.
Which was such a relief to see.
They're really, I think the direction is very good and the editing is very good. Like the pacing of everything, it really works. Yeah.
It really, really does.
And the score. Sorry, I interrupted you, but the score was so good.
Yes,
it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It really feels like this is like prequel stuff. Like you can feel it. This is evoking some of that emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely feels like a continuation of the prequels, but in a modern way.
It's so thoughtfully done. Every aspect of this show was so thoughtfully laid out and planned and treated with such care, and I couldn't be more grateful.
Same. Right. Shall we wrap up, I think?
I think we've said a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've definitely said quite a bit.
I think on balance, it's fair to say we enjoyed it.
10 out of 10 here.
Yeah.
We'll watch again.
Yeah, I will definitely be watching it again. We'll be back next weekend to react to the next episode that drops. You are very welcome to tell us what you think. If you didn't like it, I'm actually really curious to know why. If you did like it, please come talk to me, because my partner just told me today that she was not going to be watching it. So I need people to talk to so that I don't drive her insane.
It's true. People at work are tired. They're tired of listening to me talk about Star Wars. Yeah. I'm a makeup artist, and I actually brought in one of the new Star Wars lipsticks from ColourPop, and one of my coworkers asked me, "What lipstick are you wearing?" And I pull out the Star Wars lipstick, and they were like, "Oh my God, really? Again?" I'm just like, I couldn't not.
Yeah. It's a holy day.
So
Yeah.
This is like with my family. They're like, "Oh, flowers. What are you up to this weekend?" Oh, I'm watching Star Wars.
Yeah.
Again? Okay. I think they're slightly concerned.
People at my work are definitely pretty close to an intervention. Like if they ever find this podcast, there's gonna be a meeting where they sit me down and ask if I'm okay. So yeah, if you want to help save all of our relationships with other people, please talk to us.
Yeah, please do.
Please do. Do your civic duty to your fellow fan.
Yeah.
Right. So thank you for tuning into the Karma Collective. If you like what you heard, you can give us a like. Or if you've got something to say, drop a comment below. Both of these make us easier to find for other fans and are the best way that you can support our work. If you'd like to keep up to date with our episodes, you can subscribe. And you can always talk to us on Twitter at Kyra Collective. We'll be back with another episode in 2 weeks. Well, another reaction in 1 week. And until then, remember, the crystal is the heart of the blade. The heart is the crystal of the Jedi. The Jedi is the crystal of the Force. The Force is the blade of the heart. All are intertwined. The crystal, the blade, the Jedi. You are one.